Political scientists have time and again insisted that politics is a game of numbers and that elections are won or lost depending on the number of supporters a candidate has in a certain region. So could the March 4th general election have been won or lost as soon as the electoral body IEBC concluded the voter registration exercise in December? Political scientist Mutahi Ngunyi has a hypothetical look at what he calls the tyranny of numbers. And here are the figures.
And why we call this a tyranny of numbers is because this election was won actually on December 18th. That's when it was conducted in 1 month, and the results were announced on December 18th when IEBC closed the numbers, the voter registration, and said the following number of people have been registered. And some people slept through registration as they were doing razzmatazz on the streets, doing their rallies, while as others actually schemed through registration. That's the reason why some communities have registered very, very big numbers, and others have registered almost inconsequential numbers. And as a result, you can see that some community will actually tyrannize, if there is any word like that, the other communities during the voting process.
Ngunyi, in his hypothetical analysis based on the raw numbers of the registered voters, suggests that the Jubilee coalition has a head start since the two main regions considered to be its main support base, that is the Mount Kenya region and Rift Valley, have the highest number of registered voters as compared to the areas where CORD is perceived to enjoy its largest support, that is Nyanza and parts of Eastern.
The difficulty in this election is not who will win or who will lose. The difficulty in this election is in ensuring, especially for Raila, that Jubilee does not win this election round one. And I say so because when you look at the 50 plus 1% threshold, which is 7.1 million votes, and you look at the Jubilee support, which is 6.2 million votes, they are short of the threshold by only 980,000 votes, if voting will be 100%. Whereas if you look at the CORD, they are at 2.8 million, ethnic blocks being the Kamba and the Luo, 2.8 million votes only. The difference is 4.3 million votes to reach the 50 plus 1%, which therefore means that CORD has to work 4 times more than Jubilee to be able to reach that particular threshold.
Ngunyi argues that historically, Kenyans vote on ethnic lines and that the March 4th presidential contest may be no exception.
No matter what strategy he applies now, it is late for him because the election was won a long time ago. His only strategy for now is not to try and break into those strongholds, as it were, but to try and stop these guys from winning round one. And he has to do that by ensuring that the CORD fellows come out to vote to the last man. Because if voter turnout is low in the CORD areas, the chances of Raila becoming number 3 are very high. Musalia Mudavadi could just become number 2. And that would provide for serious political comedy, in my view, which would also be very pathetic. It's because he slept through the revolution.
And looking at the voter registration figures across the country, Ngunyi argues that the crimes against humanity charges that Kenyatta and Ruto face at the ICC could have been the driving force in the voter registration turnout in the Jubilee strongholds.
The House of Gema in particular was annoyed when they went to register. They registered with fujo. IEBC expected them to register a certain number. They hit that number and went beyond. Because almost all the Kikuyu strongholds and the Embu and the Meru strongholds are at 100% plus. Kiambu alone is at 113%. Others are 104, 109. And the same thing in the Kalenjin areas. And I think the ICC is what drove these people. You know, the desire to protect their own. And that's why the record must reflect that if Uhuru becomes president and Ruto his deputy, it is because of Kofi Annan. The Annan process and the ICC process are what then cost everybody, the ethnic groups, to regiment around their own as a way of protecting them. And I think this is what these figures are telling us.
Opinion pollsters have consistently ranked Odinga as the man to beat in the March 4th race to State House.
If he continues to delude himself through the polls that he's ahead, and he fails to pay attention to the raw figures on the ground and work with them, he will slip through this election. What he must do, in my view, is that he must work very hard to stop Uhuru and Ruto from winning round one. That should be his only strategy, because then that will give him an opportunity to get into the runoff, and it will help him regroup with the other groups, the other communities, and do a good fight during the runoff.
Critics of Ngunyi's hypothesis have argued that there will be many dynamics that will influence the March 4th presidential outcome, and that not all people from Kenyatta's, Ruto's and Mudavadi's communities will vote in one defined direction. Ultimately, it's the 14.3 million registered voters who will have the final say on who becomes Kenya's 4th president on March 4th at the ballot. Francis Gashori, Citizen Live at 9.